Hi, Shepherd's Fold Board. Today is Thursday, June 10th, and I'd like to give you a few concepts that have been rolling around in my mind as a result of some of the feedback that I've received regarding the 1 minute quiz, and also a very helpful small group session that I had with various nonprofit leaders of Christian organizations and through Mission Increase and some of the concepts that came out as a result of that. So let me just walk you through some of these thoughts, and then get a hold of me, and let's keep moving forward. The first is this: that we at Shepherd's Fold are really the first to really explore ministry to older adult ministers. So, therefore, we need to remain flexible in our programming and keep searching for ways to connect and meet needs of these retirement age ministers. So, as I've said before in a previous video, I still want a simple plan we can use and then that we can expand upon. Okay, secondly, when it comes to the 1 minute quiz, this is a good resource in the context of a webinar that I might be teaching, that BV is me, Brent Van Hook, might be teaching, or a teaching session that I might have in some kind of way. But really, it would be best utilized in that type of setting. It's not really self-explanatory on its own, doesn't really stand on its own outside of an understanding of where we may go with it, nor does it, I'm just saying this, on its own lead to actions. So um, we'll keep it and we'll use it, but I'll probably use it in the context of a teaching session, um, not just put it out there for people to have a first time exposure to Shepherd's Fold. Okay, it's clear that we at Shepherd's Fold have many relevant resources. The research project that was commissioned, a list of vacation homes and retreat centers. In fact, today I went to visit one here in the Nashville area. We have the 1 minute quiz. We have the Godly Impact program. We have books for laymen and ministers. There's a sabbatical resource that a professor gave me to give to anyone who wants it. You might remember we have an electronic version of the Legacy Planner that Brian Cluth gave us to give. We have 99 episodes of the Encouragement Podcast. Um, those have kind of come to a little bit of a close now. We don't have guest speakers for it, but now it's a rich library of um, podcasts that we can take and splice up and use however we'd like to in the future. These and more are some relevant practical resources that we have. Number four, a concept is this: that trust is a huge issue from ministers of all ages to anybody, including us at Shepherd's Fold, that there is a level of skepticism that all ministers have. This was reaffirmed in the small group that I was part of. That there's just a wall up from all ministers. Here are some of the reasons that they listed. And of course, they may vary from individual to individual, but they may include pride. Pride is an issue that may creep in among some ministers. Others may have been hurt when they tried to reach out for help before, and therefore are skeptical of anyone who comes wanting to help them. There is a feeling among ministers that people only come to them when they want something. But very few times do people go to ministers to say, hey, tell me about your family. How are you doing? Let me bring care to you. Almost always, people come and want something. And then in the retirement age settings, it's a little bit stunning how few people call to check on them. It just seems that people wanted something from them, and very few times will give back. So therefore, they seem to be not trusting of new relationships if you come and say, "I want to help you with something." Some are loners by personality. Others in the past have believed that they needed to have all the answers together and needed to look perfect. And some were just flat out lazy throughout their working lives, and more reasons why trust is an issue. If we go to ministers and try to help them, there is a lack of trust of opening up to what might be to them a new organization. Let me expand on that just a little bit then, or take the next step, which is ideas for building trust. In other words, this issue is something that we must, if we believe that that's the main issue that's preventing people from getting some of the help that we have to offer, then first step might just need to be to establish trust. So here's some ideas that I and some of the others had and have regarding that. One is that the first experience that a person has with Shepherd's Fold should not be pointing out their problems or weaknesses or improvement opportunities. That's where the 1 minute quiz didn't necessarily meet that criteria because it points out areas of improvement. Jim Quiggins, you had some good thoughts regarding that. So, to just begin a relationship between Shepherd's Fold Ministries and a retired minister or a minister of any age, to begin it by pointing out the weaknesses of that individual is not a first step that we would like to take. Secondly, there was the question, what are their felt needs? My experience, especially with retirement age ministers, is they want to be thanked and they want to tell stories. They want to talk and they want to be appreciated. So, and that's my experience, just anecdotally. Now, we also know that loneliness and isolation is one of the biggest needs that they have, and therefore, in a few moments, I'm going to address that. So, some people said this, why don't you say something like this? We don't want something from you, we want something for you, to try to communicate with ministers what Shepherd's Fold is about. Next is to tell them, this goes along with that, tell them why we care about them so much, and then tell them, hey, you've asked how others are doing. Now I'm asking you, how are you? How are you doing? Just to flip it like that. Another approach could to be to say, will you let us care for you? In other words, ask their permission. Can I care for you? The lady who gave this example that was part of my small group says it's a little bit like asking for forgiveness. You know, we can ask for forgiveness, but we're also asking the person to say, uh, um, I allow this to be done. So we're asking people, asking ministers, will you let us in? Just ask them that. Um, Give us the opportunity, she said, not to run your life, but to care for you. Or another way to say it is, will you let us give you this gift of care? Can I give this gift of care to you? Another element that the group uh, said is that after talking to me, and we worked through this again, like I said, quite a while on in our small group, is that it seemed clear to them that my heart for caring for ministers not only is strong but contagious. One of the ladies said, I feel like I need to go call my pastor right now and just tell them how much I appreciate the work that they're doing. So they encouraged me to wear my heart on my sleeve a little more, or to promote, or I get that out there, to let my heart be seen in uh, for others to be able to see and then catch some of the feelings and passion that I have for caring for ministers. Okay, with that in mind, here's what I'm considering just a next step for us. And that is just to get started. Now, there's a lot more that we can do, there's a lot more that we should do. But in light of the ideas of establishing trust, here's an idea is to have thank you coffees. And I'm saying go ahead and put the word in right out the bat. Here's the agenda is to say thank you. I think we could do that in three ways. And now we know we tried this pre-COVID, um, and Dad, the one that you and Matthew held at your house, had uh, some good success, and we wrote down some lessons we learned from it. Joyce, the one that you and I tried to hold with just explanations, with just promotion without calling anyone individually, was an okay time with the one minister who attended, but I think we learned some lessons there too. But here I'm thinking even a more simplified version of that. Um, I had video that explained how to have those meetings. I think it can go way simpler than that. And so the three people who could host it, or I'm two of those, but for one of them would be others. And now here, what I'm thinking, less Dad. I mean, if you want to have 8 or 10 people over to the house, that's fine. But I also think that anyone could have coffee with their former minister or someone they know, or even their current minister. And it's a thank you. And so we would just have a couple simple instructions, such as don't have. This is not the time to suggest what should be happening in ministry. Don't whine about what's going on in the world in terms of the church world, or what needs to change, but just thank them and ask for stories. Something simple like that. Very simple. And then a gift card that they can give. And I'll explain that here in just a few moments. So, the purpose of these thank you coffees would be to establish trust, but also would be to get names and email addresses of people for whom we can stay in contact. So others could easily be trained to do that. Any of you could go host a couple of friends who are in ministry for coffee, a thank you coffee, and give them the gift of this card that I'll explain here in just a moment. Secondly, especially post COVID, I think we're out of the highest restrictions regarding the ability for people to get together. I think we can go back to live coffee meetings. I can host those very easily. Um, right off the bat, I would think just a coffee would be good. One of the small group friends said, "What about um, having some sort of service project that we could do together?" Now, I think that's a good idea, but I think the coffees is the first step. Then we'll go. So maybe I can establish several of these in the Middle Tennessee area, and then also I can do these through Zoom. Um, I think that can work really well too. So we're highlighting thank yous, and we are connecting people, which, among other things, is addressing loneliness and isolation. Okay, here's a rough draft of a card that I thought we could use. Now, this could be emailed to any person who's going to host their pastor or pastoral staff or former ministers or ministry friends, whatever, former missionaries. You're going to take them out for coffee. You're going to do that. You're going to pay. You're going to ask for stories and let them know you care about them. You could give this as a gift. So this could be in business card size. It could again be emailed, and the people can print them off themselves and just hand it to them. Say, here's a little gift for you. So the idea, this is a rough draft. Minister, thank you for your work. We don't want anything from you. Instead, we want to show appreciation to you. Our ongoing thank you, in other words, we have a ministry of ongoing thank yous. That includes encouragement groups with fellow ministers, online and live, um, gifts and resources, and more. If you'd allow us to show ongoing appreciation for your kingdom work, visit www, the name of our sign up form. We'll have a form, for their email address and name, and they can opt in. I've learned that's important. They have to opt in. Or you can use this QR code. This is the place on the card where I can make a QR code where people can take a picture with their phone and automatically go to the website where they can sign up. In order to get signed up and receive a free gift, I think we can, get a connection to the electronic version of the Legacy Planner or more. And so, if we can get them on our email address, then we can do, especially if we do encouragement groups in the future, any kind of groups with fellow ministers. Eventually, that can turn into some teaching time. I can bring up a topic, get their ideas on it. again, approach it in a way in which we approach it once trust is built. Okay, let me know your thoughts. This is where I am tonight. I did get some more thoughts from the small group, but that's kind of a general overview.